Hello and welcome to my session. My name is Emelie Lindstrom. I live in Sweden and I work as a management consultant. My interest for task management and productivity started when I finished school and started working as a management consultant, because then I realized how much impact that actually has and how important it is to keep all of your things under control. Now I'm also helping other people become more productive in their work life and keep their life under control. So I have a YouTube channel where I share tips about task management, work tool tutorials, goal setting, simple living, and much more. So if you're interested in checking it out, you can find it through this link. Welcome to this session on how to reach all of your goals with goal-based task management. And what we will go through in this session is, first of all, what is productivity, so that you know kind of the basics of everything. Then we will make sure to start in the right place, so that is life prioritization, which you will see soon what I mean with that. Then we have goal setting, how to adapt your task management system, and then in the end, the reflection process. So we have quite a few areas to go through today. And task management doesn't matter if you don't have the right end goal in mind. And yeah, I quoted myself as the first thing I did here. So now when we have that out of the way, we can just go into the content. And the thing with this is that if you don't work based off of your goals, based off of what is important, it doesn't matter how good task management, how good time blocking, how good energy management or anything of that you have, if you're not doing it for the right reasons, with the right end goal in mind. And so it doesn't matter if you're productive as crazy if you don't see the bigger picture and prioritize basically what is important. So think about it. Task management is a system to set up your tasks so that you know what to do. But the problem that most people do is that they set up their tasks based off of external inputs. So based off of the emails that they get, based on their responsibility areas of their work, based off what they see in their house that looks messy, and not from within, from what they want to achieve, from what goals they set for themselves. So that is what we're doing in this session. We're trying to rewire ourselves to start in the right place instead. So that is within our goals, basically. And what is productivity then? Why are we doing this? Why is it so important to be productive while doing all of your task management and doing all of these things? Well, productivity is about making the most you can with the time and energy that you have. So it's basically about maximizing the output that you get from the input that you put in. So that is your time and energy that you put in. You want to gain as much effect, as much results that you can from that. So productivity is about being effective. So that is doing the right things and being efficient. So doing those things as efficiently as you can. And if we move along, then what does this mean actually in practice? Well, so first of all, to be productive, you need to have a good task management system. You need to have a system where you collect and capture all of the incoming tasks that you have. And if you've read Getting Things Done by David Allen, you're probably familiar with this concept already. But you need some kind of system to capture, clarify, and organize tasks so that you know exactly what you're supposed to do, what is in your backlog, basically. And there are loads of different systems that you can do this with. So you can use Todoist, OmniFocus, TickTick, Microsoft To Do, Remember the Milk, Notion, On Paper, and so many other ways. The system is not, there's no perfect system. There's only a perfect system for you. So you kind of need to find out what you want to have for you. But that is the basics, basically. And then the next step of this is prioritization. So when you have all of those tasks, You need to prioritize which ones are the important to do, which ones are not important, which ones should you do first and later, and so on. So basically, should you look through your email or should you work on that crucial presentation that has a deadline tomorrow? And in that case, it's kind of simple, but there are so many cases where that is very, very difficult. And this is a way of actually being effective, to making sure that you do the right things that you should be doing. And then the last step then is time and energy management. So being efficient while you're doing all of those tasks. So when you have your task management system, you're doing your prioritization, so you know which task you're supposed to do. And then when you sit down and work with them, you use time and energy management tools so that you do them as efficiently as you can. Because as you all probably know, work expands to fill the time available, and that's why time blocking is so popular. So time blocking is a very popular time management tool. There's also Pomodoro, the checklist manifesto, using your biological prime time, and so much more. And if you have those 3 areas under control, you've gotten further than a lot of people ever do. And I will assume that since you're here, you're probably already an expert. But then the big question is, do you have the main foundation of all of this? And that is your goals and your life prioritization. And what is this then? Well, let's dive into life prioritization. So now when we're starting in the right place, we're going to look at your life from a zoomed out perspective. And what you can see on the screen here is called a life balance wheel, or a wheel of life. It probably has many more names. They can look a bit different for everyone, but these are the general categories that is included in one. So basically all of the main areas in your life that you need to have control over, that to make you feel happy and be healthy, basically. And so it's a rating system for all of the different areas in your life. So that is what all of these example numbers here mean, that someone is rating their health and fitness an 8 out of a 10. And if we're just going through these areas fairly quickly, the first one up top is health and fitness. So you need to have your health under control. That's like one of the main foundations of living a happy and healthy life. And this also includes mental health. Then, of course, money. Money is a big part of everyone's life. If you don't have them, all the other areas could probably be hard to manage as well. Then we have career and business. Most people do have a career or some kind of business, and that is a very important part of a life and goes very much hand in hand with the money flow. Then, of course, social and friends. This is a very important aspect of all of our lives, even for people who are very introvert. Being social, having friends, and doing those kind of social activities is very, very important in order to feel happy and fulfilled. Then, of course, your love, family, and kids. So your partner, having a good relationship with your family, having a good relationship and time with your kids, super important. Personal growth. You have to keep growing in your life, otherwise you will feel stagnant and you will probably become very grumpy and not a very happy person. Then, of course, hobbies, recreation, fun. This is especially important if you're like a creative person or anything, like making sure you have hobbies, have something that you do to feel fun and be happy. And then there's spirituality, and you don't have to be religious for this one. Personally, I would probably have framed it a bit differently. I'm not religious, but what you can think about the spirituality one is basically like feeling like you're contributing to something bigger than yourself, feeling like a part of a community, living according to your purpose, and generally feeling harmony in your life. How good is that area performing in your life? So what I recommend you to do is that there are loads of these that you can find on Google. Find one that suits you. these are like the main 8 categories. They can be broken down a bit differently, but find one that really suits your life and then print it out, and then fill in the levels for each area where you are right now. Like just like in this one, like health and fitness, how high up on that scale are you right now? Is there some area where you're feeling like you're very, very low in? And why do you feel that way? And then as a second part of this, to fill in what level you want to be at. Obviously, we all want to be at a 10 in all of these areas, but that's not really realistic. So this is like where the life prioritization comes in to play its part. So maybe you're very low on health and fitness. Your physical health is just crap. You're not moving anywhere. Well, then maybe, and you want to get to a good level, then maybe that is a prioritized area. Or maybe some area is very, very good and you don't have to do a lot about that. So look at the wheel overall and see, where do you have the major gaps? Like, where are you now and where do you want to get? Is that gap big? Then that is a focus area that you should focus on for the upcoming time. And we will get back to this one a bit later, but if you do this exercise, you will have a good understanding of what your development areas are and what is actually important in your life. Where should you spend your time and money, basically? So now when you know what your priorities in life are, then let's get into goal setting. So maybe you're not used to having goals, or maybe you are, but either way, they are very important to have, because it's a way of like driving you forward and making sure that you prioritize the right things. So the main thing I want you to take with you today is that setting up for major goals at the beginning of the year. Like this year, I'm gonna get healthy, I'm gonna exercise 5 days a week, I'm gonna buy a house and move out to the countryside, I'm also gonna get this super high promotion at work. Like, setting those goals up at the beginning of the year makes it really hard to focus on them for the whole year. When June comes, you probably haven't made much progress in any of these areas. So what I recommend you to do instead is to focus on one goal at a time and divide the year into 4 parts instead. So this is a concept from the book called the 12-week year. So you put goals up in 12-week periods. So that is pretty much a quarter. And the advantage of doing it this way is that you can work more focused on one goal at a time. And that way you will get more of these goals actually accomplished. Because when you start out in January, you have one major goal to focus on. You will have to keep focusing on that because the deadline is close. When April rolls around, you're gonna have to be done with that goal. And that makes you a lot more willing to actually work with that goal. And that way you won't lose focus on the goals that you have in front of you. So you can focus on one thing at a time instead of focusing on 4 major things at the same time. And if you feel right away like, okay, but this is not really realistic, I have more goals I want to complete than this, well then you can complement it with having minor goals. So you can have a mini goal or 2 to go with the major goal. But what you should do here is that if a major goal is that you want to get a promotion at work, that could be something, then your mini goals should be like really small, tangible things that are quite easy to do. Like, you want to be able to do 10 push-ups, or you want to quit eating sugar in the weekends. Like, those types of things, easy ones that will help you move a little bit forward in life but are not super major. And when you have these 12-week periods, like, focus on your goals and don't focus on so many other things that goes around all of that. Because at work, let me just say that these major goals that you have every 12 weeks, they can be both personal and work related, but you should not do both. You probably know what a major goal is for you. It's something that takes time and effort and energy from you. You can't have a bunch of those at the same time. You need to prioritize. So maybe one quarter is just focusing on work things, and then the next quarter is focusing on more personal things. So kind of mix it up. Because at the same time, you probably have a lot of projects running. It could be work projects, it could be personal projects, but especially work projects, that is also something that you should leverage while doing. So at work, maybe you have some kind of client project or some kind of project that you're part of. You should also set up goals for those. So particularly, the project should have some kind of outcome goals. What do you want to achieve with the project? But you should also have your own personal goals. So what do you want to learn from the project? What do you want to get out from being a part of this project? Because that is also something that will keep moving you forward. And those will be distributed out through the year, like in kind of a random way. So now, when I've explained the major concept of these 12-week goals that I really believe you should try using, then you should go and set the goals. And maybe you've seen this SMART goals method. I believe a lot of people have. But have you really leveraged it? Have you really used it? Are you using it? Because I don't think a lot of people are. They've heard about it and they know people talk about it, but they don't use it. So let's just go through them very quickly, and let me give you some really tangible tips and tricks that you can implement right away. So the first two ones, specific. The goal should obviously be specific enough so that you know what you're supposed to do. And it should also be measurable. So it doesn't have to be very, very like in a very metric, but it could be like, how does my wellness increase? Like on a scale from 1 to 10, how do I feel today? How do I feel tomorrow? But some kind of way that makes it possible to measure, and so that you know when you're done. And what you can try is that you can try setting both result goals, so goals that you cannot affect. Like for example, you will see soon, a goal of mine is to get 700 subscribers. That is a result goal. I cannot impact that. But it's also a goal that I really, really want to set. But what you can also set are habit goals. So that are input goals instead of output goals. So that is, for example, exercise 5 times a week. That is a habit goal. And it's something that you can directly impact and do. Whereas a result goal could be, for example, like lift 50 kilograms in the bench press. Well, of course you can impact that, but that is something that your body will do for you. You can never measure that in the same way that exercising 5 times a week does. So those are two different types of goals you can try setting, which can make it both more specific and measurable. And also, if you do have a result goal, something that you could try is also putting a range. So what is good, what is great, and what is excellent if you were to achieve. Because you don't always have to reach 100%. It's fine to reach 80%. You can still be done with a goal by doing 80%. Then achievable. The goals that you have, you should be able to do them, because if you can't, then you won't do them. That's the way it is. You won't do them if you don't feel you're able to achieve them. So that is a part of what I was talking about. Don't do more than 1 or maximum 3 goals at the same time, because you can't focus on more than that outside of your regular like admin tasks and all of that, because those are also things you need to do. So you need to be really smart about what goals you want to focus on. And it's also great to have a list of all of the goals that you want to achieve, but that you don't have now, so that it's easy to pause the goals. Because if you have too many, you won't be able to achieve them. And then relevant, you should sort of choose something that inspires you, not something that someone else wants you to do or whatever. Like it should be something that's driven from you, because otherwise you don't stand a chance in doing it. It's gotta come from you, because no external motivation is going to help you. And then of course time bound, which we also were helped a bit by setting 12-week goals, because that makes it a deadline. Instead of having a goal like someday in the future I want to be able to do this thing, no. If we do it in a time-bound way and set 12-week goals, then you have a deadline and you need to be completed by that deadline. So it gives you a bit of time pressure to complete everything. Okay, so if we zoom out a bit again, so the first thing you should do is reflect on your life priorities using the life balance wheel. After that, it makes it a lot easier to set goals for you. And then the next steps is to act on your goals and then also follow up on your goals. So that is what we're going to dive into now. And to help you act on your goals, I know that your task management system is going to catch all of those things, but the best thing you can do to make sure that you work towards your goals is to keep them visible. As you can see here, I've put out a print screen from my Notion page. So Notion is a program that I use to do a lot of like daily things, and I have a lot of lists and a lot of life admin things and a lot of tasks and all of those things in Notion. So I spend a lot of time in Notion, and that's why it's so nice to be able to put in my goals there. So you should have your goals visible so that you see them, every day. You should see your goals pretty much every day, because that way you will be reminded of them. Even better is if you write down your goals. So put them as your desktop background, phone background, in your calendar, or somewhere where you know that this page, this thing, I will look at it every day, because that will help you complete your goals. So what you need to do here is to go from input-based task management. So that is when your task comes from your responsibility areas at your work, it comes from looking around at the home, seeing what needs to be done, all of those daily tasks. And whenever you get an email to respond to, like a reactive based way, you need to shift your task management system to being goal based, to make sure that you prioritize your goals and what is important to you. So this simplest way to do this, you can see here from my tick page, that's what I use to manage my personal tasks. I have a folder for goals. So I shift these lists out, but I keep lists of all of my major and minor goals that I'm working on at the moment. So as you can see here, I have my 3 goals of reaching 2,000 watch hours and 700 subscribers on YouTube, and then also stop eating snacks during the weekdays, and then moving to a new apartment. So these 3 areas, they have their own folder, and that is what is most important. Those are always kind of prioritized the highest. Of course, work is also very important because I need to excel in that, but I mainly work on my goals in my free time, so I put it in my personal task management list, and that way I know that I should prioritize my goals in my free time. Then I also have a folder for life admin actions. So that is like taking out the trash, remembering to water my plants, all of those kind of things, like cleaning the bathroom. But this way I make sure that I don't drown in the life admin actions, but that I also have my goals very, very clearly visible, and that I know where the tasks comes from. And another way to make sure that you keep working on the right things is to make sure to have a good reflection process. So once again, if you're familiar with the Getting Things Done method by David Allen, then you maybe already have a reflection process. But what is really, really important here is that you keep up the reflection process. Like, you really need this to stay on track. So what you should do is that you should have a weekly, a monthly, and a quarterly reflection. So during your weekly reflection, that should be like very here and now. So every day you will be working on the tasks. Weekly, you should focus on, like, in a smaller scale, like, what are you doing? Is your everyday working? In the monthly sense, you should zoom out a bit, and then in the quarterly one, you should be very much zoomed out again. Like, are you doing the right things? Are you doing the right things on a bigger level? So on the weekly level, you should reflect upon, what did I accomplish last week? So celebrating your progress. And, like, in general, things that happen in your life that are good, because it's always nice to be grateful and thankful for all of those things. That, I believe, that is what makes people happy. Then, what am I worrying about for the next week? Is this something that you need to do to get your life under control? Something that you're worrying about that you need to solve? And then also, what did I learn in the past week? Because that's also something that you should always keep progressing on, like reflecting upon, okay, I learned something new this week. Then you get to deep dive into, am I actively working towards my main goal? So this is the main question to always keep you on track. So why are you working? Why are you successfully working towards your goal? Or why are you not working towards your goal? Is there something that needs to change? And then, what tasks do I need to do in the next week? So these 4 questions in the bottom are basically the main ones to keep you working on your goals, to make sure that you're always reflecting upon them and prioritizing them. Because it's so easy to drift away and do other things that other people think are important, and, just small things that you need to do. It's easy to drown in those, so you need something to pull you back up and let you know, like, what is really important to you. In order to make progress in this major goal that you have, you need to keep working on it a little bit every day, or at least every week. Then during your monthly reflection, you should go back to your life balance wheel and redo that, because it's going to change all the time. One month, maybe you've had a lot of contact with your family, and another month you haven't. So that is something that you need to make sure that you keep the balance up over time and continuously reflect upon, okay, where am I now? Where do I want to be? Then you should also rate your goals and go through them. Do they still feel exciting? Do they feel challenging? Do they feel impactful? And do they feel doable? And based off of that, do you need to make any changes? If it's not impactful, if it's a 0 out of 5, why should you do it? Then maybe you should just prioritize down that project, pause it, remove it, get it away. Because you should always work on things that feel important to you. It could be challenging, but always it should move you forward in life, I believe. And then you should also go through, like, by the end of next month, I will have done these things. And list up the things that you need to do in order to reach your goal. And those are the things that you pick up in your weekly reflection, and make sure that you're continuously working on it. And then in the quarterly perspective, you should also reflect upon, what did I accomplish that I'm proud of? What mistakes did I make along the way? Just to make so that you learn from your mistakes, because that is important. You will always make mistakes. Always, always, always. And it's a lot better to learn from them than just let them slide. And then also reflect upon, what can I do to make the next 12 weeks even more successful? So what can you improve until the next goal session? And then you should go through and set new goals for the next 12-week period. So that is the major process of how you're doing it. So now we've gone through how to reflect on your life priorities. We're going through how you can set a goal, how you can act on your goals and tweak your task management system to better suit your goals, and then how to follow up on it and make sure that you're continuously working towards your goals. I hope you liked this seminar, and I hope you find all of the other parts of the summit equally interesting. And if you want to know a bit more about goal setting, task management, work tool tutorials, etc., I really think you should check out my YouTube channel. I have a lot of videos about exactly that. And if you want to reach me for some reason, you have my email address right there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll stick around for a couple of more videos.